Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Meal. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today for part 3 of the reverse emboss blackout technique. This is the video where I will show at least making 2 of those panels into cards, and then I have a slideshow at the end that shows all of the ones that I've done so far with this technique. So the first thing I'm going to do is finish moving these card bases out of the way. Those are all the panels that I made in the last 2 videos. And then I'm going to take some card bases and score these so that they'll be all ready to go. On this first card, I wasn't quite sure, I didn't remember what size I made that panel before I did the technique on it. So I'm going to measure this up against the card base and see if I need to trim some of that off because it might be hanging over or maybe the card base is too big. So we're just going to measure that up first. As I was looking at these panels, I decided right away that I didn't want to do a whole lot to these. I don't want to take away from how pretty the panels already are. So I thought I would just do some basic matting and add some sentiments to them, but not do a lot of extra to these because I really wanted the image, the reverse blackout image, to be the focal point. So here I am just pulling out some nested rectangle dies. And I need to cut down that first panel so that it can have a gold border on the back of it. So I'm just going to take a look at some dies and figure out which ones to use so that I can cut down that panel but not lose a lot of the panel, but just enough so that I can have that gold border showing on it. So I decided after measuring up with the dies on the gold panel and on the colored panel that I wasn't going to use the largest size rectangle. That one actually cuts a full size A2 card front. So I'm using the next 2 sizes down. The largest of those 2 will be used to cut the gold, and then the next one down will be used to cut the color panel. So we'll go ahead and run those through the Big Shot, and then we'll start to assemble this card. To glue these 2 panels down, I'm using Barely Art's glue. This is a white liquid glue. It's very similar to Art Glitter glue, but I find it's not as runny as the Art Glitter glue. I've been using this for a couple of months now, and I really do kind of like it. I think it's just as comparable, really, to the Art Glitter glue. The Art Glitter glue tends to clog a little bit more, and I don't know if that's something that I'm not doing right. I do have the stainless steel pins in both of them. I am planning to get the Art Glitter glue back out again and do some experimenting with that to see if I can't figure out why it's clogging. I don't see the point in keeping it if I'm not going to use it. So now that I've got the glue on the back of this panel, I'm just going to carefully press this down. Because it is a 3D embossing folder, it's not a perfectly flat surface on the back. So I'm just going to press over this to make sure that I get all of the areas pressed down onto the base. At this point, I wasn't sure what kind of sentiment I wanted to put on the front of this one, so I decided to put it aside and then take a look at the other panels that I created and make a second card. We will come back to the sentiments on these. Admittedly, after I laid all of these out, it was a tough decision to figure out which one I wanted to make a card out of next, but based upon all of the comments that seemed to lean towards everybody really liking the blue panel, I thought I would go ahead and do that one next. So I'm pretty much going to do this one the same way that I did the last one, with the exception that instead of the gold, I decided to mat this one in pink to try to bring out those pink flowers or the pink outline of the flowers a little more. So we're going to go ahead and run these through the die cut machine, and then we'll start to assemble this card. This card, just like the first one, will be an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and score the base for this, and then we will start to glue the pink panel down for the background and then the blue panel on top of it. Now that we've got that pink background piece down, we're going to go ahead and glue this blue piece down. I was a little bit indecisive about which way I wanted this card to go, whether I wanted it to be a portrait or a landscape, and ultimately I decided that it would be a landscape card. You'll notice as I turn this over to glue the back side of this that is the side that I initially messed up. So just keep in mind that if you mess up one side, you can always turn the paper over and try it again on the second side, and who knows, you may get something that you like even better. And now that we have the cards made, the last thing we have to do is add the sentiments. So I've pulled out my sentiments binder. This is a Simple Stories 6x8 scrapbook album. It has the plastic pages in it, and this is how I do my sentiments. This is my easy organization, and this was not my original idea. I actually got this idea from another YouTuber that I saw, and I thought it was a great idea. And so far, it's working for me. So in this binder, I have die-cut sentiments. I have sentiment strips that I've bought. I have sentiment strips that I've made on the computer. Other sentiments that I punched out with different shapes. And there's my pages are divided up by themes. So I'm just going to flip through here and try to figure out what kind of theme I want these cards to have so that I know what kind of sentiment to put on them. Ultimately, one of these cards became a birthday card and the other one became a sympathy card. Both of the sentiment strips I created on my computer and I printed them out on my inkjet printer. The one that has the black background on it, which is the birthday one, whenever I trimmed it, it ended up having white edges, obviously, because the cardstock was white. So to cover up those edges, I'm just going to take a black Sharpie and color those edges. I'm not going to do that on the sympathy card one because the cardstock is white on the front and it's okay that it has white edges. To attach the sentiments to these, I'm just going to use foam squares by Stampin' Up. These are dimensionals. They're actually hexagons, not squares. But you can use any kind of double-sided adhesive foam, or you can just glue them flat down onto your card base if you'd like. As with the first card, I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of that sentiment strip and then place that in the bottom corner. I had debated about putting it in the top left corner, but then decided I liked it in the bottom right better. Well, that about finishes off both of these cards. And if you'll stick around for a couple of seconds, you'll get to see all of the cards that I've created so far using the reverse emboss blackout technique. Thank you for stopping by to see this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.